Okay, so today we're talking about graphing inequalities. So make sure that you have the next page in your math journal titled Graphing Inequalities and titled the top of your page, Graphing Inequalities. The graph of an inequality shows all the solutions of an inequality on a number line. So the graph is going to show all of the solutions on a number line. The other day we talked about open circles and closed circles. Open circles means it's not a solution. And we, on our graph, our chart, showed a greater than or less than symbols. For a closed circle, which is shaded in, it is a solution, which means if something is greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to, it means it is a solution. This will make more sense in a few minutes as we go on. But before we first explain all of this, let's remember what a number line is. A number line, we have 0 in our center and we go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. and our numbers get bigger. This is an example of a whole numbers number line. As we go to the left, we get smaller. Our numbers get smaller. So here, 9, 8, 7, 6, but then going down to 0, we go -1, -2, -3, -4. As we get into the negatives, -9 is actually smaller than -1 because it's further left on the number line. Please note that these arrows on each side means that the number line keeps going. This keeps going 10, 11, 12, and so on, and this side -10, -11, -12, and so on. Pause at any time to keep up. But again, note that as you're going to the left, the negative signs, it gets smaller. We also have number lines with fractions and decimals. So let's look at a fraction one. We have 0, and then I broke it up by halves. Half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. And that's perfectly fine to do that. Here I did -1/2, -1, -1.5, -2, -2.5, -3. Remember, -2.5 is actually smaller than -1/2. Number lines can also be shown using decimals. Here's my decimal. Again, I broke it up by halves. 0.5 is half, then I have 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, and then going to the left, oops, I actually wrote that wrong. It's -0.5, -1.5 here, -2.5. So -1/2, -1, -1.5, -2, -2.5, -3. Again, I used decimals. Again, pause this to keep up at any time. So when we are graphing inequalities, again, we said if it's shaded, it's going to include the value that you see on the number line because it's greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. If the value is not shaded, it is not a value. It is considered closed and it is not included, such as a greater than or less than. So if a number is greater than 7, it's going to be higher than 7. It's going to be 8, 9, 10, 11. Here, if it's greater than or equal to 7, it means that 7 is included. 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, because that equal sign says it's included. Here's an example of graphing x is greater than 7. So I draw my number line, and x is greater than 7, so I'm going to put my circle on 7, and it's going to be an open circle because 7 is not included in the value. It is not part of the solution, and I draw my arrow to the 8. So I put my circle on 7 and draw it to the right. So it's anything above 7 can be x. So x can be 8 or greater. It could be 9, it could be 10, it could be 100, right? As long as it's greater than 7. But it's not shaded because it's not 7. 7 is not included in the solution. It's anything greater than 7. Hence the words x is greater than 7. Again, use that chart that we made the other day to help you with your terminology. The next graph I have, and again, make sure you pause this and write this down. X is greater than or equal to 25. So I draw my number line. You don't have to draw a ton. I just drew a number line out, and I just wrote 23 through 28. So x is greater than or equal to 25. So I'm going to put my circle on 25. And since it's including 25, 25 is part of the solution, I shade it in. So x is greater than or equal to 25. So since it's equal to 25, it includes 25. So x can be anything from 25, 26, 27, 28, 1 million, 2 million, 10 million. Doesn't matter. As long as it's 25 and above, it is included. And so you can see the difference here between the open circle, it is not included, and the shaded closed in circle, 25 is included. Here I have x is less than or equal to 16. Less than or equal to 16. So I just drew a number line, plop down some numbers, no big deal. You could start at 10, you could start at 0 if you want, but that's a little bit long. So I just started at 13 and went through 20. X is greater than or equal to 16. So since my number is 16, I'm going to put a circle on 16. X is, it's less than or equal to, not greater than, so it's less than or equal to 16. And since it's equal to, I'm going to shade it in because 16 is included in the solution. So x is less than or equal to 16, and my value can be anything 16 and less. So x, I could plug in 14, I could plug in 12, I could plug in -5. -5 is less than or equal to 16. You could plug in whatever you wanted to in order to solve that, make that true. Couple more examples and then let you get on your way. Here I'm using a fraction. X is greater than or equal to 1/2. So I made my number line here, 0. So I did 0, and then I have 1/2, 1, and then now I have 1 and 1/2, 2, 2 and 1/2, and I don't need to take it much further than that, 3. So x is equal to, or x is greater than or equal to 1/2. So I'm going to put my circle on 1/2 because that's the number it's telling me to start at. Since it's greater than or equal to, so it's equal to, so it has to be shaded in because 1/2 could be the solution for x. And it's greater than, since I'm getting bigger, it's going bigger, it's getting greater. All right, last example here. I have x is greater than or equal to -1/2. Now again, you could do this with decimals too. So I'm putting here, x is greater than or equal to -1/2. So here is my -1/2. I broke this up again into halves. X is greater than or equal to -1/2, so I'm going to put my circle on -1/2. That's a -1/2. And since it's equal to, I'm going to shade it in because equal to is including 1/2, and it says greater than, so I'm going to go to the right because my numbers are always getting bigger as I go to the right. Even if I'm in the negatives, it's always getting bigger. All right, I hope this helps you understand how to graph these inequalities. And then remember to make sure you have all these notes in your math journal and your table of contents headed.